Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you what is new in our sky swap tools in Retouchers Reloaded version 6.3.3. So if you head over to your menu at the top left corner and go to About, then you can just check your version number here. Make sure that you have the latest one. If you don't, then you can get it onto the YouTube tutorials description. The link will be there. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so if you go into your sky tools, and you'll see that there is an extra 2 sky swap features, and it doesn't have options, but it does use the settings from the standard auto quick swap. So the difference between your auto quick swap and this quick swap over here is the type of AI mask that it uses. This one here is using the standard AI sky selection from Photoshop, and then the auto quick swap is using an enhanced version of it. So the quick swap would work better for your gray skies, those dark gray clouds, and then this one would work better on images like this with so many branches all over the place. So if I'm going to try with the standard Photoshop mask, it's not going to detect really much sky. So let's try with the auto quick swap. Okay, so it has a decent selection. It's getting basically everything. It looks a bit crisp on the edges, but it's actually fine. But if you want to just bring back some of those old edges, then what you can do is double click on this mask and then increase this feather. You can just blend in those edges again. And if you find that you always need to adjust the slider to a certain amount, let's say for example 150, then what you can do is go into your auto quick swap settings, go to your blend edge options, and then just put in the number. Let's put in 150, and now let's just delete this and do it again. Okay, so we now have a softer edge around our trees. You can just play with this slider to find a decent feather. If you want to, you can just take that back down and try the top mask. Double click on that main mask there, and then you can also try and blend it in with this one. So this slider would bring back the original sky. So this is going to blend in the new sky and the old sky. It's going to just bring in some of that old sky again, the original sky. And this slider here will blend in your edges. So you can decide what works better for you. Let's do a sky swap. And it's still using the 150 feather that I inserted into the input area, and it's got that nice blend on around the edges. Let me just check where the sky layer is. So if I click on the sky layer, I can see that the sky can actually move a bit lower, but it's not really an issue, because what happens is we automatically moving the sky to where your mask ends. So it's basically going to shift the sky up to the horizon. That way that you don't have to move the sky around every time, because usually what you'll have is, if you're using a full frame sky, then you have your horizon here right at the bottom, then you would have to drag it all the way up. So we try and do that automatically for you. But if you need to, then you can just click on the sky layer, make sure that your auto select is off and your show transform controls is on. You can just hold shift, click, hold shift, and then just move it up or down. If you want to make changes to the color or the exposure of your sky, we do have our hue and saturation and our levels here. So if you want to make adjustments to that and you want to save those adjustments, you can go do that in your settings here. So this is where the levels would be. So if I open the levels, you can see your highlights here is 240. I've got my midtones and my shadows as well. And if we look at our hues, I have -4, -4. So if there's any changes that you would like to make on your skies that you have, then you can just make those changes and then just open it up, leave it open, and then just go to your settings and save it. And be sure to click the X to save. What else do we have? Sun gradient. So sun gradient, if you have an image with a bright sun, then once you do your sky swap, that sun's it's not going to be there anymore. So then you can just add it back in by increasing this opacity, and then it would be here somewhere in the center. What you can just do is double click on this thumbnail, then just drag to where the sun should be, and you can resize it as well. Just scale it. You can take it lower, or you can make it a bit bigger. If you want that soft gradient, then make it increase it by a lot, and then just drag it out a bit, something like that. What else do we have? Let's go through some options here. Density. Okay, density, let me just touch on that a bit. So density is kind of your contrast for this mask. Currently my density is on 100. So this is how the mask looks. And as you can see, it's got a nice contrast to it. But if I take this down, let's do it again. See how the mask looks this time. Let's just take this feather off so you can see. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this in the video, but it's not as contrasty as it was before. So the difference you would see around edges mainly. And I think that 100 density is fine, but you can experiment with it and see what works best for you. We have layer effect options. I keep deleting this. Layer effect options, and that would be drop shadow, inner shadow. I wouldn't really bother with changing any of these. Maybe you want to make it a bit stronger, you can, but so far it seems fine as is. If you want to turn it off though, you can just toggle this. Let me zoom in. You can just toggle this on and off. Layer opacity, so that would be this opacity. So yeah, that is why you don't really need to, unless you want to make it stronger, you can increase it a bit, the values, but I wouldn't really bother, but if you do, then you can just maybe set this to a lower opacity and just fade it. What else do we have? I think I covered everything. Oh, texture options. So by default we have it set to random. What random is going to do is it's going to choose a random sky in this folder. If you have your own folder and you want to import it into the plugin, you have a few, maybe 10 of your favorite skies, and you want to import it. Then what you can do is just go over to your menu, texture importer. Now this applies to skies or grass or fires for your fireplace, or anything, basically any textures that you would like to use. So what you do is just set the name and then go and select the folder. Just keep in mind you don't want any subfolders that might cause issues. So just take a few of your favorite skies, make a new folder, copy it over there, and then you can just import that one folder or two separate folders or whatever. And then you can, once it's done importing, then this plugin should restart. You should get a loading cycle, and then then you don't need that original folder that you made anymore, because then we've copied it. Okay, so when to use auto quick swap or normal quick swap or quick swap range. So quick swap range you'll do when you can't get your sky swap to work for internals. So that's kind of getting it there, but we probably need to just move the sky around, or we can just resize it, make it smaller, because we just have a small area here. So on this image we're getting our sky. Let me just take down this feather a bit. So it's in there, but if you don't get any, if the feature doesn't detect any sky, then use quick swap range. So you then just click that and then click, and then just hold shift down and keep adding more of your window area, and make sure that it's completely white here. You can just click and drag if you want. So once you have your window selected, you can play with your range and your fuzziness if you want, but I find that this values works fine. And then click OK. Okay, so now let's just drag our sky a bit smaller, enter, and then we have our internal sky swap, and the layers all function the same, so it's also using the same settings. What else do we have here? There's also a apply to all. Let me just close all of these images. Just gonna say no. And let's take a few different images and we'll do a batch sky swap. So this isn't exactly batching, but you can do your sky swap on all of your open images. We do have batch features as well, which I think I've covered it in one of the videos, but I might need to make an updated one. Okay, so for just doing all your open documents, you can just go to your settings, scroll down, go to streamline, and then click on apply to all. So once you close this, it saves, and now you can see that your quick swap is now highlighted blue. And now when you run this feature, it's going to do a sky swap on all of your open documents. These other ones, well, this one here has also got batch apply to all applied. Just you can't see that it's highlighted right now, but once the plugin restarts, then you'll see that this will also be highlighted. It will apply to this as well, but this you would do a bit differently. It's going to pop up the dialog. Let's just give it a test and I'll show you. So it pops up the dialog. You have to select the sky. I'm not going to select everything, just want to show you. Click OK. Next one. So that's how this one works. I'm going to cancel. Let's go back. Just undo everything. Okay. So let's use auto quick swap. Now we just wait. So the cool thing about doing it this way is in our batch features for the skies, it's hardly going to use the same images. It's going to just choose a whole bunch of random images so that your images doesn't all look the same with the same skies. And yeah, I find no issues. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe a bit of cleaning up here. Okay, so this is bringing some of that original sky in. As you can see, this cloud is looking a bit blue. So let's take off that feather. And okay, so now it's doing it. Now it's not bringing in any of that original sky. If you do need to do some cleanup on the mask, you'll do it on this mask over here, right at the top. If you want to view it on black and white, then just hold down Alt or Option and left click onto your mask. And you can either use your burn tool on shadows to just like burn your mask just a bit. Doesn't need to be completely black. What you can also do is either you can use your object select the house, and then you can use just press backspace. There we go. Oh, let me just take this down, and I think the cables, yeah, comes back a bit. So you can just see what works best for you when it comes to your feather. If you're dealing with white skies, if your original sky is white, then that's gonna make it an easy sky swap. But if you have something like this one here, then you might have some issues with using your feather. As you saw, you bringing back the original detail on the trees, but you're also bringing back the sky. So maybe just a slight bit of feather is all that you can do. But yeah, I think that's about it for the sky swaps. One more thing that you can also do is if you're not happy with one sky, you can just click change sky and it will pop up your sky folder, and just double click on the new sky. and you don't need to clean up your mask again if you've already done it. So I haven't done it on this image, but let's just do that, backspace, and then if I change sky now, I won't need to fix the mask again. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, guys. Bye bye.